There's pipes, there's different shapes pipes. There's short pipes, long pipes, middle, medium pipes.
He literally made a bowl out of a toilet paper roll.
Marijuana is the drug where you can become the architect.
There's a lot of people that believe that marijuana is a gateway drug. Do you think it's a gateway drug?
A German water park, you have to, as long as you salute them, they let you in for free.
The whole school gathered just to watch the officer kiss a pig.
I do a good wow.
So I had this idea. I was like, okay, well, I got this weed in my pocket and I'm going to get fucking busted.
If I get high, I can't really play guitar.
If you legalize this, you tax it, and you pay down the debt, I don't see why that's hard. Live from Woodstock 99, where we're both still pretty high, it's the Socially Awkwards Podcast. I am Matt King Cole, and he is the Red Hot Chili Brandons. Welcome to the pod. It's part 2 of our marijuana-sode as we continue to talk about that ganji. Also, I want to say it's our 25th episode of the pod, Brandon. How do you feel about that? You feel like
I feel good. I mean, I thought, we would be dead by pod number 5, but the time has passed and we're still here.
Yeah.
25, time keeps ticking.
Because you were thinking because of that pod serial killer that was out there killing all the podcast people. And you
that's right. The pod killer. Yeah. What was his name that kid they came out with?
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot here. The pod clobber? I don't know. He was
there. It is. Ding, ding, ding. The pod clobber.
clobber.
Yeah. So it's great. 25 is great.
Yeah, 25 is good. Also, for people who are watching this episode and not just listening, I have been sheared. My head has been sheared. Producer Doofer, he got me in contact with a shepherd. Did not know they still existed. And I went to a sheep farm and they just held me down and I got sheared. And so that was pretty fun. But it was really bad timing because we are recording this on February 25th. And winter is back in the Midwest. I don't know if you've noticed this, Brandon, but we did have a little bit of a light thaw for a few days. It felt nice. It felt like spring was coming. And then you apparently went out into your garage, started up that weather machine of yours, and now shit is getting bad again.
Yeah.
So maybe calm down on the weather machine. That brings us to a spontaneous segment, and it's called Jokes to Smoke To. It's time for Jokes to Smoke To. All right. Well, that wasn't actually, that was it. That was as simple as that. We're going to do some "it was so cold last night" jokes. Well, I'm going to do them because I didn't tell Brandon about them. And frankly, I just wrote these a couple nights ago when it was really cold and it's still cold. But I'm just going to rattle off some "it was so cold" jokes, and maybe you just tell me if you like those or not. Or if you don't like them, you just shake your head. If you like them, you've got some facial expressions that you do that I'll look for. All right. We're going to start off a little tame. It was so cold last night that the icicles had icicles. All right. Okay. It was so cold last night, I slept in fire. All right. It was so cold last night, everything melted in my freezer. That one takes some thinking.
Well, I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. It was so cold last night, I saw a polar bear in my front yard, and he was not friendly, man. I think he was full of coke.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. It was so cold last night, I farted fog.
Yeah.
It was so cold last night that iced tea became Ice Cube.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, right there.
That's a good one.
Yeah. It was so cold last night that I accidentally keyed someone's car with my nipples. Sorry about that, by the way. My bad.
Yeah. You got to be careful on that, on those cold nights.
Yep. Yeah. It was so cold last night, my penis flew south. Yeah, it has wings.
That's
I
good.
feed it a lot of Red Bull, okay? All right.
Yeah, it comes back, I hope, in the spring because...
Yeah, I need it.
Right.
I do.
Yep. Okay, that's good.
Also, here's my last one. It was so cold last night that I got a chapped labia. Yeah, it's right here. Got it was all chapped right here.
Is that the technical term for that area?
Yeah. A labia just means lips, basically. So it works. It works. There's just usually people are referring to a different area when they talk about it. But in general, you can call this a labia if you want. We all have labias, Brandon. Now you know. We all have them.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, you tell that to the next hot lesbian you find. You'd be like, girl, I got a labia too. We can have some fun.
Yeah, I'll put it in my back pocket and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a good time. All right. Today, obviously, we are on to part 2 of our marijuana sode, and we're going to start off by talking about some smoking apparatuses. Do you say apparatuses? Apparati? What is pluralized? Apparatuses section. All right. So all the smoking apparatuses. Now, I'm assuming that you haven't. I don't know what you've smoked out of. You've smoked a doobie. You ate some pancakes. We talked about that last week.
Yeah,
doobie. You smoke out of a vape now. But is there anything crazy?
Yeah. What are all the edibles? You know, chocolate bar, hard candy,
we
gummy
don't have to
candy.
name all the edibles that have weed in them. I mean, that could be every edible. That could be everything that's edible.
That's like shrimp, fried shrimp, shrimp casserole,
chicken fried shrimp. You got to say it like him. At least try to say it like him a little bit.
All right. Chicken fried shrimp. Yeah, I can't do it. So,
yeah, have you smoked out of anything
weird?
There's
pipes. There's pipes. You know, there's different shapes of pipes. There's short pipes, long pipes, middle, medium pipes. Obviously, you have the full on. You have the bong.
Have you smoked out of a bowl? What have you smoked out of, or has it just been like a joint? Have you smoked out of a metal pipe or a glass pipe?
I've tried all those. I've tried all those things. You know, I've a pipe, a bowl.
What about a gravity bong?
No gravity bong. No. No, I don't think any gravity bong. Because gravity bong is just too much. It's
a lot, man. And I smoked it. I'll tell you what. I smoked gravity bong every night up until about a month ago. I quit my gravity bong because I was like, this is a lot on my lungs and I need to chill. But I do have a hot tip for the kids out there that are of age to smoke marijuana legally in the state that allows it legally. And that's how to make a gravity bong. And here's what you do, kids. You take like, let's say you got like I use a glass pitcher, but you can do like any type of pitcher. Like maybe, you know, you've got an extra one and, you know, you make some Kool-Aid in the summertime, but you got that extra pitcher that you never do anything with, that maybe is just like your cum bucket or whatever it is. Clean that out real nice. And then, you know, you take if you want a big hitter, you can take a 2-liter bottle, plastic bottle of Coke or Pepsi or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You know, drink that shit or dump it out, whatever. And then you cut the bottom off, okay? And then you you fill up the pitcher with water up to maybe like 2/3 away to the water. You stick the top of that pop bottle in there, and then you get some tin foil, and then you put some tin foil around the top of where, you know, you would normally drink out of the pop bottle. You poke some holes in it. You put your weed in there, and then you light it up with a lighter and pull the pop bottle up as you're lighting, and then pop. Don't let the pop bottle go down. Pop the little bowl that you just made out of with tin foil out of there, and then you suck it as it's going down, and it'll get you fucked up. Yeah, you suck it.
Yeah.
Just like this.
And it gets you. What do we say? It gets you? Is that the
Dude,
right way
it
to
gets
say it?
you. And here's what I'll tell people. Don't do I've seen people who will go in there and do the full bottle on one rip. They'll take it all the way down. And when you do that, like it's a clear bottle. And then when you do that, like the smoke is so thick, obviously you can't see through the bottle anymore. So all of that's going in there. So a lot of times the best way is to actually just hold it and then take some smoke. If you're actually pushing it down while you're smoking, like not only are you smoking it, but you are now gravity is going the opposite direction because you're pushing it down and it's pushing it up into your throat and back into your lungs, and it's making it that much more effective. So
yeah, I always thought it was, so I was familiar with that. The only thing that I find interesting is that the only thing that's really affected by gravity is the water sitting at the bottom.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
The actual action of the pulling of it, of course, is not dependent just on gravity.
It's just the force of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird. Dude, my friend like taught me how to make that. The same friend that I started smoking weed with, he taught me how to make that when I was like 15 and 16. And I will tell you a story really quick. I used to go over to his house, his dad's house, and I would stay the night and we'd smoke a bunch of weed. His dad would always go to bed at like 8 or 9 at night. So like it was one of those things where we could kind of get away with most shit. But we have literally done that in a bathtub. We didn't have a pitcher. So you can just fill up your bathtub with water and then grab your top of your pop bottle and do the same thing in that water. And we've literally smoked weed in a gravity bong out of a bathtub. So those were, oh man, I'm getting real nostalgic now. Those are some good times, man.
Now, did you combine that with taking a bath to
of course,
save time?
Yeah, you have
Bubble
to.
bath?
Yeah, little smoky bath. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Rubber ducks.
that's how to build a gravity bong, and if you want to, like I said, don't do it. Actually, it's probably not the greatest idea. You ever smoked out of a hookah?
I have not. No.
Okay.
I was going to list that as one of the other things I have not smoked out of before.
Oh, go ahead. You had a list of the things you did, and I want to see because I have some written down, and I want to see if we both.
Yeah, well, I've done a bong, a bubbler.
I love bubblers. Actually, bubblers are pretty nice. Those also involve water usually. I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And most types of basic pipes and bowls, kind of apparatuses
glass
like
pipe,
that.
metal pipe, arsenic pipe, lead pipe.
Yeah, keep going. Arsenic pipe, formaldehyde pipe, asbestos pipe,
septic pipe.
Yeah, that one was eggy.
Yeah.
What I also did was I also like those they call them oneies. Is that the right word?
One hitters.
Yeah, one hitters.
Yeah, you could probably call it a oneie, and people would know what you're talking about.
Those are fun because they're like usually like there's one was like shaped like a cigarette.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get them, and it's in the tip of it. It's just got just enough space to put like a tiny little, they're called one hitters or oneies because you basically get one hit out of it.
Yeah.
And those are cool because they're small.
And usually you could probably get 2 hits if you wanted to, It's not usually one.
Yeah, who's counting? Maybe 2.5.
It's not specific to the one hit.
Yeah.
Don't be discouraged because you think you're going to only get like 1 hit. But some people like that. Some people just like to have that little 1-hit buzz and then they go on their day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything.
Have you ever smoked out of a rock?
No, I haven't. A rock is interesting because you don't get to affect the rock too much, right? Would you have to find one that is built?
Well, it's a bowl. It's a rock made into a bowl. People will drill a hole and but it's still kind of cool. It's kind of like you're a little bit more in touch with Earth. You're like, oh.
No.
A pop can, which I wouldn't recommend, but I have done that where you can literally, it's the easiest thing, honestly. You take a pop can, you just turn it over to the side, and then you pop some fucking little holes in there, and you just make a little divot, and you put the weed in there, and then you just smoke it and suck it out of the part where you would be drinking out of it. And that's pretty easy. Now, I worked with a delivery driver at one of the pizza places I worked at, and there was times where at night, like right after we would close, he was 50. He had some crazy stories because he was in Vietnam. So he would have these crazy stories about hookers and prostitutes. That he would never have war stories. It'd always be about like getting hookers or something. He had a story about when he was young he lived in like Detroit or something, and a tornado picked him up when he was on his way to school, and we always just made fun of him that because we couldn't really like picture it. It was like, what? A tornado picked you up and just like moved you across the road or whatever. But one of the craziest things is one night we were smoking with him, and he pulled out a toilet paper roll. And he literally made a bowl out of a toilet paper roll. And we're sitting there because none of us had anything. And he's like, I got something. And so we're all just sitting there making this is almost as bad as the septic pipe, right? Like smoking out of a septic pipe. But yeah, we just smoked out of a toilet paper roll. And that's probably the craziest thing I've ever smoked out of. But
because you're just burning cardboard, right?
Yeah, you're burning cardboard. Paper. Well, I think he did have like a tin. I think he just made like a hole and then put a tinfoil like bowl in it. So yeah, because if you're just smoking directly, if you're just lighting the cardboard directly, it's not going to be good. But yeah, it was really weird. But yeah, rock, hookah, a big blunt. I don't know if you. I mean, I guess I don't really know where it goes from a joint to a blunt. I know a blunt's got to be pretty fucking big, but I smoked pretty fat ones.
Spliff. What are the differences here, Matt, if you can tell us?
I know blunt is big. Spliff, I feel like is just another name of a joint. I want to say, because I know that they'll call, like if you have a real skinny one, they'll call them pinners. Like people just roll up a little one and it's mainly just paper you're smoking, which is not good. I do enjoy joints. I'm starting to enjoy them again more. Just because I feel like, especially with a bowl, like everybody usually uses a bowl, but when you smoke out of a bowl, if you're not cleaning it out regularly, which is already hard to do, because literally you should clean it out after you're done smoking, but that's probably the time where you don't want to, because you're just like, oh, I'm nice, fresh, and high. But so when you smoke those, you're starting to get all that resin and shit, or it's blacking up. So when you smoke a joint, it's kind of cool because, especially now, because we can go to the recreational place and we can get those ones that have the little holders, so you're not smoking on the paper and you're not burning your fingers, and it's just straight weed. And you don't have to worry about any barriers. It's just like, oh, it's like smoking a cigarette. And that's the other thing I was going to say back in the day that you probably didn't do because you weren't a cigarette smoker. But I would take weed and I'd put it into my cigarettes too. And even when I went to school, and then I would just, in that first hit, would be a little bit of weed. It wouldn't really do anything, but it'd be like a little bit of weed. So
just kickstart you for the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. Okay.
So those are just a list of some smoking apparatuses. Also, we should talk about how one of the funnier jokes that I heard when I was younger was by Dennis Leary, if people know who that is. And he's a comedian. He had a stand-up special where he's talking about how marijuana isn't a gateway drug. It doesn't make you do other drugs. It turns you into an architect, because people will take an apple. I don't know if you've seen like an apple bowl before, where people will core out an apple and make an apple bowl. But it's just kind of funny because people will you become like resourceful. Like if you want to get high, and I'm sure it's probably like that with any drug, really. But obviously we're talking about marijuana. Like if you want to get high and you've got the weed but nothing to smoke it, and you're going to find a way to smoke it. And so people just kind of get creative, and it is interesting what some of those creations have been.
Maybe what's interesting about marijuana that's different from some of these other drugs where people do the same sort of thing is that marijuana is the drug where you can become the architect after you get high. Whereas these other drugs, I feel like you're trying to figure out how to do them, and then once you do them, you're like out of commission until you're like on the come down. If you're like doing something much harder. But marijuana seems like something where you do it and you're like, oh shoot, like, hey, my bowl broke, or I lost this thing, or I don't have this thing that we made. So it's like, now what do we do? And you and your buddy are sitting around, you're both high, and
you're drawing up blueprints, and
somehow you still have the faculties
NASA.
of like creative. Yeah, exactly.
It gets crazy. And we should talk really quick, because I'm not a believer. There's a lot of people that believe out there that marijuana is a gateway drug. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's a gateway drug?
No, I don't. I
don't either.
Here's what I think. I think that it's possible for somebody to do marijuana and then afterwards do something harder.
Yeah.
And I think that correlation is not causation.
I agree with you. I think it's kind of like when they say when violent video games are going to make people violent. I feel like if you're going to be violent, you're already going to be violent whether you play those video games or not. And in the same sense, where if you're going to smoke, if you're going to end up smoking something harder than marijuana, I don't think marijuana is leading you there. I think you're just starting with that, and then that's where you go. And I remember Sharon Osbourne saying this when she was on The View, and I remember making a joke, and I think I wrote it on Facebook or something like that. Kind of a little harsh now because he's passed on, but my joke was Sharon Osbourne thinks that marijuana is a gateway drug, where I think Ozzy Osbourne is a gateway drug. And so it was just kind of like one of those things. But R.I.P. to Ozzy Osbourne. He went out the right way, had his last concert, and an all-time famous one. All right, so those are just some of the smoking apparati, however you want to say that word, that people can smoke to. Let's talk about some awkward situations. Now, you kind of already talked a little last week. I mean, I guess I would say some of those are awkward, but do you have any other awkward situations that you want to discuss? While being high, or maybe ones that you've what other people being high, or
this was back in the days where I was having a hard time finding the line where and for the record, like, I'm not a pothead. I never have been, but I've tried to smoke at various times because I sort of want to be.
You want to get that
part of the.
There.
I want to be part of the fun energy. There's like, I see the way people.
Well, I'm just saying, you want to be like, I'm not a pothead. You want to make sure everybody else, if we ever get famous, the one thing you want on your Wikipedia page is like, he's definitely not a pothead.
Yeah, put that on my tombstone. That's the
Yeah.
most important thing to have on my tombstone.
Right. My
No,
epitaph will read.
believe it or not, the reason why I want to say that is to put in perspective, because a lot of my stories sound really like lightweight, where I'm like, yeah, one time I took this little baby hit and I went crazy, and it's
Yeah,
like
but that was your
the
first
con.
one. That was your first hit,
No,
though.
well,
That.
well, it's happened like 20 times.
Yeah, and I think, but okay, so in your defense, like what you're saying is like, I'm not a pothead. So if you're just smoking it randomly every so often, it probably would be more of a case of worse situations because your body doesn't have a tolerance to it. All of a sudden, you're just, randomly doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So it's just adding context to like, here's like so many times in my life I've done this where things went wrong for me, or I was in an uncomfortable situation, and it was because I have never really I never really broke through this like barrier where I was like I can like smoke every day or even smoke like 3 times a week. Um, yeah, and so yeah, so the last situation I was bringing up was this was down in Austin when I used to live in Austin for a while, and I was sitting with a group of friends. I think this was on a Saturday, and we all had the idea. So there's a water park down by Austin in like New Braunfels, I think is where it is.
Oh, name
And
dropping. I
yeah,
don't know
and
where
it's
that is,
called
but people of
so
Austin
the
will. Yeah.
yeah, so the name of this park is called Schlitterbahn, and
Oh, nice.
it's a really
Is it
fun name to
German?
say. It
What
sounds
about?
like it. It
Yeah.
sounds like, let's go with yes.
Okay.
So a German water park, you have
I
to, as
like
long
this
as you
already.
salute
Yeah.
them, they let you in for free. So we're down there,
All
or
right.
no, we're talking about going down there, and we're like, it's gonna be fun. And
Yeah.
so everybody's like, let's hit this bong and then ride down there. And so we're all gonna be high at this
What?
water
So what
park.
exactly did you hit? It was like just like a.
It was
Was
a
it Billy
bong.
like a Billy Bong Thornton, like from Half Baked, like one of those ones where there's like a multiple chambers and everybody can smoke at once, or was it just like
No,
a
it was pretty basic. I think it had various like what do you call them?
apparatus?
Strictures.
Oh, I
No, it
got
was a
you.
very it was a
Yeah,
mostly basic bong.
we're gonna have to get a
So
bongologist on here, and they'll explain, the
bongiology,
intricacies. Yeah, bongiology. I
bongolism.
like that. Yeah.
So no,
Anyways,
I
okay, you're
tried.
gonna go to a German. Yeah, you took some hits off a bong with your
I'm
friends. You're gonna go to
telling
a
you,
German water park.
at King Cole, I tried to take the babiest of hits with this thing, and it was just too much,
Yeah.
and it made me cough. And so we all piled into this van, or I don't know, it
This
was a
sounds
giant.
horrible already.
Yeah, so we piled in this van. I'm in the middle seat between two people in the back seat, and I just started having a panic attack on the way down because I had this thought, like I went down this thought process that was like, I'm having a hard time breathing. And I thought that I was having a bad reaction. So I was
Yeah.
going to continue not being able to breathe until the point to where I like passed out and died. So
Right. Right.
so like the feeling part of me was having this like panic. I was like, I feel like I'm going to die. But the logic part of my brain was like, I'm pretty sure this isn't going to, it's like I'm really embarrassed right now, and I'm pretty sure this is not actually what's going to happen. So I'm fighting with myself, trying to like zone out and not like go into full on panic. And so I'm drawing attention to myself in the car, and people are like, "Is Brandon okay? Like, did he take a big hit?" And one of the other guys is like, "He barely like took anything. You like,
Right.
I don't even
Right.
think
He's
he
a
got much."
lightweight, which
Yeah,
is really hard to judge if you yourself smoke weed all the time. And I don't know if that was the case with those guys, but if they're smoking weed all the time, it's really hard to judge somebody who hardly ever does it, and then they're like, "Oh, he took a light hit. It shouldn't be bothering him." It's like you don't know.
yeah. I would say never in my life have I ever had what would be considered a tolerance to marijuana,
Yeah.
and
So you
and
just
it
kind of had that
shows.
panic attack, did you guys go to the German? I feel like people want to hear about the
We made it.
German water park.
We made it. We made it to Schlitterbahn. It was a great time.
Yeah. You just
And
bomb.
it
What do
was
you do there? You just bomb like they put like
bomb.
U.S.
Yeah.
ships in the water, and then
Um,
you guys pretend that you bomb them, or
yeah. Well, we round up
you
some
sank
of
the
the population.
Lusitania, maybe.
We take turns pinning stars to the chests of people we don't care for.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
what we did was, uh,
See if they're
s-
Jewish.
yeah. Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
We're trying to be.
we've we've
Let's be.
we've we've overdone the joke too much. All right.
Yeah. Let's be PC here.
Yeah. Okay.
Um. So Schlitterbahn has they have a lazy river that goes around the entire outside of the park, and
Cool.
it's one continuous river that goes slowly and it kind of winds. So imagine you're going, what's a river near? Have you ever like floated the river before on like an inner tube or anything like that?
Yeah, that's why I don't like water. If you remember my stories where my tube flipped over when I was 5 and I almost drowned because my mom
That's
tied
right.
it to her tube. And
That's right.
which was odd because right after I was born, my mom got her tubes tied, which is unrelated to the other tubes tying. Different tubes, different tying.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah.
Tying tubes, tubes tied, inner tubes,
Yeah,
tubular.
There's a lot of stuff there.
Tube of toothpaste. Yeah.
You just brought it to like Super Mario Brothers somehow. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super Mario 3 was the best one.
We're gonna get into Super Mario 3 was.
No,
you
know,
really
the
music of Super Mario 3 was great. But I really do like Super Mario World, the first one for what, SNES? Yeah, I really haven't I like that one.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because just recently I got into retro gaming and I bought a Sega Genesis off eBay with some games, and I got it and I hooked it up. I got this old these TVs that people are all considered junk. This is a segue, but I'm going to continue it just for a second here.
Okay.
The TV no, I found an old CRT style TV in my mom's garage.
Nice.
And these things, like, people basically consider them junk nowadays, but for these old style retro games, these TVs are really the best way that they were meant to be played. Nowadays, because if you put these old systems on a modern television, you're going to see a lot of pixelization, and or pixelation, I think is the right term. But you're going to see now you're going to see the actual true pixels. But the problem is that the games were never they were never meant to be seen that crisply. The CRT TVs, the way they scan the screen, blended colors together, and so it gave it much more of an artistic presentation. So that's my rant
don't have
about,
to wait. You don't have to worry about the FBI or the CIA spying on you because you don't have a smart TV.
Well, there you go.
Well, you probably do have a smart TV, but at least when you're playing your game, you're on the old school TV.
Analog. There's really something great about analog technologies. And
analog. Yeah, I have that. It's a log of
Lincoln log.
You're thinking of something else. Totally. My bad. I was thinking of the anal log I have. It's a book I wrote.
Yeah. And so we floated this river, and it was a lot of fun. And that was
on a tube?
On a tube, yeah. We sat on tubes. The river's not so deep you can drown. Like, you can stand up. It's probably like maybe 4 feet high at the most. Maybe even less than that. And it was a lot. That river was one of my favorite parts because you could just sit and kind of be lazy and float around this river all day if you really wanted to. And it was fun.
Yeah. I will say this. Kudos to you for having all these situations while smoking weed, but then going back to it. Like, a lot of people would be like, I'm just not going to smoke weed anymore.
Yeah, well, it's because thank you. It's because I recognized that the problem for me is psychological. Yeah, the problem is psychological, and it's my need for control and my need for understanding my situation that I'm in, understanding myself, understanding how I'm feeling. All these things, I guess I learned that I'm a bit of a control freak. And see, and as you know, and I'll let everybody else know, I am able to smoke weed a little bit now. I don't smoke a lot of weed now. I smoke, but maybe once or twice on the weekend. I will do a little bit, and I'm able to handle it now. And I think that's like, it's really about acceptance of how I'm going to feel and not trying to control like every minute aspect of like what I'm saying, who I'm talking to, what I'm thinking of, and how I'm presenting myself and all these things. So
yeah, because when you smoke it on the weekends, that's when I'll usually find you'll be dancing to like a "Love Me Do" from the Beatles.
Yeah.
And you really go off on a thing. And the only reason why I say that is because I once got high with a friend of mine, and it was like in the early 2000s when it was like the greatest, I don't know, it was like a greatest hits CD or something of the Beatles came out, and I got it because I like some of the old songs from the Beatles, and we were dancing to it. But I remember the place I was at, like, I had hardly any curtains on my window, and it was kind of nighttime, and my friend freaked out because he's like, "What?" And I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "I don't know, man. Like, you don't have any curtains on your windows, and I feel like people are looking at us in the woods." And I'm like, "There's nobody in the woods." So he was having kind of like his own little paranoia thing, like, or whatever. But it was kind of funny.
You know what's funny? I don't know if we don't have this paranoia. I always find interesting with weed because
we are going to talk about paranoia.
Okay, well, I'll put a pin in that because there's an interesting.
Yeah, we will be talking about paranoia, but yeah. Yeah, because that I did want to get that one in because there is an aspect of that, and it is kind of one of those weird drugs where, well, maybe all drugs do that. I don't know. I've never done anything harsher than weed, so maybe they all make you paranoid. But I'm sure there are some where you just get so fucked up you just don't. You're not even thinking about that.
Well, I certainly don't think alcohol makes you that paranoid.
No, it kind of opens you up, and it's almost the other way. And so that is interesting. We're going to get into some philosophical stuff there, I think, a little bit.
Actually, let me say this, because there's a point I want to say, because I was just thinking of it.
Yeah, so you don't forget.
I think alcohol doesn't make you paranoid, but it does make you more certain of things that might not be true. For example, like thinking that you're like, this person doesn't like me.
Right.
Or this person was being disrespectful to me, right? Yeah. So I think weed, you're thinking like, oh, was this person disrespecting me for right now? And you're like going down into a spiral in your mind.
Yeah.
You're getting paranoid about it. Alcohol sometimes can be like, you just disrespected me right now, and
well, so you're down to a wrong
You're path. Confronting somebody because you're sure of something. And it's that's not even true. That's not even what happened.
That is a good point. Because with weed, it's more about you'll be sober like the next day and you'll be like thinking about that situation and be like, wow, that's funny. It'll just be like a kind of a humorous experience that you had.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Would you rather be paranoid or solonoid?
Or what's the other direction?
You got me.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say like quadnoid or something.
Oh, quadnoid! I like quadnoid.
Can't we just go up in dimensions?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think of the third, the one for 3, and I'm like
trionoid,
trionoid, trinoid. Trinoid's kind of nice. Yeah. All right.
So I would be yeah, I think paranoid is fine because you need to have you and yourself both present.
Yeah, that's how you get paranoid because you think there's other people in the room when it's really just your alter ego, basically.
Yeah, I guess the Buddhists had it right. There's like you, and then you sort of meditate and you separate yourself from your own mind, and you can see your own thoughts happening as they happen in front of you.
Yeah, because it's just me, myself, and Irene. That's all it is. Well, that's a good movie.
Yeah, and what's she doing there?
Irene?
What's her plan?
I don't know. She's actually Chinese, and what she's really doing is leaning. But she says it like Irene on you, but she's really leaning. Think of their L's and R's. Yeah. Good times with the dumplings and stuff. Yeah, I'm interested to get into law enforcement encounters. I don't know if you have any, but I've got 5, which is kind of fun that I'm going to talk about. But I did want to say this really quick about some kind of this wasn't really an awkward situation, but in high school, our officer liaison, the whatever they call him, the officer that works at the school, he actually really liked me. I would mainly, I was going to say halftime. At lunchtime, I would play basketball. And so he always would be in the gym and be like, oh, that was back when I was actually athletic and I was a decent basketball player. And he's like, oh, you're playing basketball. It's cool. So he always liked me, but apparently he didn't know that like I smoked cigarettes and smoked weed, which is good for me. But there was one time where they were having an assembly. And the assembly was so he could kiss a pig. It must have been more than that, but that's all I remember is that everybody's like, oh, our officer is, I don't want to say his name, but, officer so-and-so is going to kiss a pig. And I was like, okay. But me and my friends just walked across the street and decided, because here's what was going to happen. The assembly, and then we were going to have Spanish class. And in Spanish class, everybody was bringing in a Spanish dish to eat. So we're like, all right, let's skip the assembly. The officer liaison that's with the school is going to be at the assembly. So let's go across the way. Let's smoke a joint. And when we get back, we'll be ready for the Spanish food class where everybody will be bringing in their Spanish foods. And because everybody's dumb, it'll be Mexican food, basically. And that's what we did. And it was kind of fun because then we got, then we were eating all the food and we didn't get to watch our officer, our main officer of the building kiss a pig. But I'm like, I don't even know why they did that. I'm assuming the assembly was for something else. I don't know why they would have the whole school gathered just to watch the officer kiss a pig, but whatever. It seems kind of demoralizing now, if you think about it, right? I feel like no officer would do that now. But
I'm not sure what I think about this situation.
It's a true story, people. It's true. It's true. Trust me. It's true. All right. I can't do a very good Trump. Can you do a good Trump? Everybody seems to have a Trump impression now. But
yeah, I know. I don't know. I guess
we won't put you on the spot.
I do a good like, wow, like that, and it
That
kind of
was
makes
good.
that
I
noise.
like that. Yeah, sometimes all it is one word. In fact, some of Dana Carvey's impressions where he just does like one word or one line are some of the funniest. But all right. Do you have any law enforcement encounters or none? Or no?
No,
Like, have you?
I've been
Go ahead.
able to speed away when. No, I
It's
haven't
good.
really
Yeah,
had. I mean, is
you're
this in
still
relation to
hiding.
weed?
There's still a warrant out for you
ICE is after me. Everybody's
for
after
turning
me.
around
So
in a neighbor's driveway when you were coming to my house. They're all after you
that's
now.
right. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
trying to deport me back to County Line Road. Um, I don't know. I've steered clear of the police. I only have a couple. I've been pulled over, but
Right.
I don't
Have
have
you ever
anything
been
interesting
pulled
for you.
under or
I have
pushed
one
under?
time. That
I
was
guess pushed
that was
under would
that
be
was my
the opposite.
counterpoint to your story about almost drowning, where I was like 5 years old and I was under the water as well. That was a more of a
Right.
pull under.
Yeah.
The gravity
Yeah.
pulled me
Because
under.
I grabbed a
Like,
stick but obviously the tube kept going, so then I flipped. So mine was a little different. Where yours had like a Loch Ness almost situation where some kind of unseen force or gravity, which is an unseen force, right? It is. Pulled you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
well, I've got some law enforcement encounters that might be funny to people. I'm gonna start with back to my old friend who I smoked a lot of weed with, the guy who smoked I smoked first with. Um and we'd stayed over his dad's house. And I remember one time, and he lived in like this little subdivision, and it was like 2 a.m, and we're smoking a joint. But because obviously he doesn't want a lot of it to come into the house, it's summertime, so we're blowing it out the window. And like right after we blow out the window, like this big plume of smoke. Why am I saying plume? I said pume. What's pume? Plume of
It's
smoke. Yeah, sorry. My brain's not working, guys, because this is 30 years of marijuana. Anyways, we were smoking a joint and the plume of smoke just went out the window. And right there, we saw a cop, like, because his road, like the house is like, he's got a front yard and it's like maybe 20 feet to the road. And a cop just drove by. So we ducked underneath. And that was kind of a freak because the cop actually shined his light. The light went across the window and we were like freaking out. But luckily, he just drove off. He was probably like, fuck it. Unless it's people outside, I'm not going to really deal with it. So that was kind of like the first one of the situations. I had a situation just a few, it's about 5 or 6 years back, and this was right before it was legalized in Michigan. And on my way to go buy it from a dude that I knew that only lived like a mile down the road, I got pulled over on my way for a loud muffler. And so I think he just like gave me a warning or something. The fucked up thing is I then went down to the house to buy the weed, and it was only there for a few minutes. And on my way back, that same cop is like waiting on the side of the road for other people. And now I've got weed on me. And I was freaking out because I was like, well, isn't he going to be like, dude, I just saw this dude like 10 minutes ago. Where did he go? But luckily, everything was fine. I just drove and went back home, and he didn't pull me over. So that was kind of a crazy situation. We had another situation when I worked at a pizza place. It was like in a complex. So there was other stores, like in a big long, like a mini mall type thing, like like one of those things. And we worked at this pizza place, and a lot of times the guys would smoke weed out back at night. And then my cousin on my stepdad's side, he worked at a pizza place that was also in the complex, but a few places down. And the cops apparently went into their place and said, hey, we're getting complaints about weed smell over at this other pizza place. Do you guys know anything about it? Well, obviously my cousin worked there, so he warned me of it and we stopped it. So that was kind of cool because I don't know what came out of that, because obviously they were somewhere around that area waiting for people to smoke weed out in the back. And so that was kind of a close call. Two more. One doesn't really involve me, but it involved me because I was getting weed from a guy and he was going down state in Michigan to get it. And he lived right down the road from me, but he owed money to his landlord, but his landlord would take weed in lieu of the money. So he told his landlord he was going down to get this weed. Well, on his way up, apparently the landlord just said, fuck that idea, and decided to call the cops. I don't know, maybe just decided they'd rather have the money. So they called the cops. So the cops were waiting for these guys when they went to their house. And mind you, I had already given this guy money to get some of that weed. and they got into like he wasn't driving, a friend was driving, so he like bailed it. He did get in trouble. His friend, they were like went back into this field because like the subdivision kind of ended in the back of the field kind of thing, and they went into this field and they threw the weed. And I don't know, from my knowledge, it was never found by the cops. But I don't know. I have to feel like, I mean, that's what he said. I have to feel like I know the area and I know the location. So I'm like, I have to feel like they would have found it. They could have just brought dogs out to find it. He says they didn't find it. I kind of joke with my other friends. I'd be like, well, we could just go out there and look for it. But I was like, I'm not doing that. That'd be too risky, you know. They might even put a cop on it. You know, if they didn't find it, they might put a cop just waiting somewhere to watch people. So that was kind of a funny situation. I will say, really cool, upstanding guy, because he actually paid me back out of his own money, and he didn't have to do that. Like everybody, like back then, you were kind of like if you bought weed because it was illegal, it was kind of at your own risk. So if somebody didn't, and I got that was the first time I got ripped off. I got ripped off another time. Both times, the people that set up the deal paid me back, and I did not expect that. I was like, you don't have to, like. But they were actually, you know, pretty upstanding in that way, I guess. Because, you know, in those days, it's like if you're going out there giving somebody money to get weed and then they get clipped or something happens, it's just the risk. It's just, you know, you already know that going into it. So it's kind of funny. All right. So my last story is going to be, and I don't want to get on the DNR that much because I actually do like the DNR people.
Do not resuscitate.
Yeah, those people. I love those people. No, the Department of Natural Resources, obviously. I was at we were doing a camping thing with some friends over at a lake. This lake we know this lake by a different name, but if people want to know what it's really called, and I'm assuming you'll know what it's called, what we call it after I say the real name. The real name is Lake Dubonnet, but we were at it. And I guess I could just say it's called Mud Lake. I don't know why I have to cover up that part, but it's called, everybody around, the locals call it Mud Lake. I don't even think it's not going to be, it's going to actually be labeled as Lake Dubonnet on a map. So I don't even know what secret I'm keeping. But we went there and camping. It's a big camping site and, you know, kind of known for its partying and stuff. And we were underage at the time of under 21. So there was people drinking. I wasn't drinking. I was just smoking weed. We saw the DNR come by and they tried to play it smart because they came by and we saw them go by and we're like, and they left and we're like, oh. And then apparently they parked somewhere, turned all their lights off and walked to us. And they caught me. They didn't catch me, but when they came up behind us, the first thing they said is, who's smoking weed? And it was right as I was passing the bowl to a friend to take a hit. Now, I don't want to get on the DNR too much, like I said, because I like them, but they did not. This situation just makes them look pretty bad. And the problem was, so there was quite a few people there. So they only had 2 officers. They apparently did not call the cops. They wanted to do the investigation, which they can. They're allowed to do. They can give out, you know, MIP, you know, minors in possessions and things like that. But I had weed on me and we were staying the night. So I actually had a little suitcase that had like paraphernalia in it, not weed, but the weed was actually on me. So they were questioning luckily, right when the guy came up and said, hey, does anybody have weed? A friend of mine clanked his beer accidentally on like the side of his chair. So the guy immediately went to that and he's like, hey, how old are you? Like, should you be drinking that beer? And I think we were actually old enough at the time, but there was a few people there that were not old enough. So the funniest part about this is they started talking about that. Well, we had a fire going and people were just getting up. Like they didn't tell us to not move or anything. So people were getting up and putting, you know, there was a wood pile. And so I had this idea. I was like, okay, well, I got this weed in my pocket and I'm going to get fucking busted. So I went up to the wood pile to act like I grabbed a piece of wood, but dropped my weed into the wood pile, grabbed a piece of wood and put it onto the fire, and then sat back down. And a couple of minutes later, they searched me and they're like, do you have anything on you? My friend who I handed the bowl to, he just threw the bowl. I don't think they ever found the bowl, but he did. Like they didn't even look on the ground or anything. And so they searched me. I didn't have anything because my weed was in the wood pile. They even searched my little suitcase, but my suitcase was like actually like an old school laptop case. And this might be weird to people because laptops are pretty small now. But as you and I know, in the 90s, they were pretty fucking big. So this suitcase, it looked like a literal suitcase. And there was little pockets that were kind of hidden that I had the bowls in, and they never opened those up. And I got so lucky. And so I don't think anybody got in any trouble. I think in the end, all they told us to do is that we couldn't camp there anymore. So we left for the night. But after they left, I just went back to the wood pile. My friend found the bowl. I went to the wood pile, grabbed my weed out of there, and we were out of there. And I was like, oh God, that is one of those situations where, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
what's funny?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, the funny thing, because when I'm hearing you tell that story, it reminds me of like when I'm watching a show like Cops or something, where the cops bust somebody and they get them, whether either they're driving or they're walking or they got them on the back of a car, and you always see these criminals or these perps or these assumed, like I don't know if they're really criminals, but you see them toss like a bag off to the side or try to like nonchalantly like throw something away.
Yeah.
And when you see these things, you're always like, I always see them and I always think, what an idiot.
Right.
Like,
right.
like where did he get the idea that something so obvious would ever work in that situation?
Right.
And then you're telling me this story and I'm like, and now it's clear to me that what I'm seeing on Cops are just the situations where it didn't work. But there must also be many scenarios where somebody was just about to get searched and they somehow managed to just toss a baggie or something off to the side.
Yeah.
And the cops never did find it, and of course those stories aren't going to end up on Cops.
And I'm assuming that does happen. And you do have to remember that like in a lot of those scenarios, they're chasing the people. It's usually like at a car chase or something, and then they're throwing it out of their car. And then, they've got dash cams. So the cops can see, usually they can pick that out, and they're pretty good at that. In this scenario, I think I was saved by my friend clanking the beer, because then that got the DNR's officer's mind off the weed, and he started talking about the beer. And then those two, literally one went one way with one person and one went with the other way with one person, and left us, the rest of us, sitting there they didn't say, like I said, they didn't say, be seated or whatever, like you're in a courtroom. But they said, they didn't say anything. So I was just like, well, here's my perfect time. I'm going to drop that weed in the wood pile, and if they're not going to look, and even if they did look at that point, they could take it, but they don't have anybody to pin it
connected to anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was good.
I thought you were going to say that you had grabbed a piece of wood with the baggie in your hand and then you tossed everything into the fire. And so the baggie was going to burn up.
Oh no, that would have been a stupid idea, because then it would just been, everybody'd be like, wait a minute. Are we all getting high right now?
And then you're all sitting there. DNR gets high. Everybody gets high.
Yeah. And then we're just, and then they just camp with us. They're like, all right, guys, let's get some chili dogs. Let's have a good time. Because that's about the time when I'll eat a chili dog. Because Brandon and I aren't too fond on hot dogs, but there are times we'll eat them.
There's times. Hot dogs are an occasion for certain events. Yeah.
Summertime, usually, too. Definitely, like an outside event. Things like that. All right. So those are just kind of some fun situations that I've had to deal with law enforcement. Now, obviously, I don't have to deal with that anymore because it is legal, unless, there are limitations to certain things, like you can't have a certain amount, but I don't ever have that much anyways. So, yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how things change when you're high. Now, obviously, we've heard your stories of anxiety and stuff, but let's talk about other things that might change when you're high. Like, do you have, what else changes for you? Like, we had talked about the munchies and how you really don't get the munchies. We talked about that last week. But is there anything else that changed you? Do you feel better? Do you get like a little euphoria a little bit sometimes? Or maybe a little head high that's not too bad, because some can be bad, but then there are others that are kind of like nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think perception of time is a big one that I want to say.
I have that written down.
That changes when you're high.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Time is crazy, because I remember, like, I always tell people, I'm like, I could sit there and be high and tie my shoes. And then when I'm done, I'd be like, that felt like it took me 15 minutes, but really it's like 30 seconds. It's just like your perception of time is really different. So have you had any crazy situations? Like, do you have an example of like where you were just like, oh wow, like either time was too slow or too fast or whatever?
Well, I'm thinking of this is a more generic example, but there's been many times in conversation where for some reason, you make a note of the time. You say, hey, it's midnight. And then you are talking to somebody until like, I don't know, it probably feels like it's about 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then there's been several times where I've looked back and noticed that the clock was like 12:15, maybe like 15 minutes had passed. And I will call it out. And there was one situation where I specifically would call that out. I'd be like, guys, like 15 minutes has passed, and and everybody's like can't believe it because of course when you're all high, it feels like hours are passing.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a very common thing that happens, and I notice it, and you must notice it too because you have it written down. You said,
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of a fun thing. I kind of find it fun. I definitely could know where there might be some moments where if you're accompanied with like that paranoia that we were talking about, where it could get a little scary. You're like, oh shit, what just happened? Like, did I go through a time warp or something? But for the most part, I feel like it's a kind of a fun thing. And probably the biggest thing I have is, and I know people get this sober, um, but where I go into a room and I like, because I'm gonna grab something and I just,
you don't know what you grabbed.
yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot, and then I go all the way back to where I was, and then I remember, and it's like that's a big thing, um,
yeah.
and that's kind of fun. I mean, it's one of
Have you
those funny
ever
things.
have you ever had it where you went into a room though, and it's like it feels like you went through a portal, and you're in a completely different world. The vibe
You
is
don't
completely different.
you don't
Your
really know why
thoughts.
you're there.
It's not just that you don't know why you're there, but it's also something on top of it where it's like because I find that being high sort of does this where it disconnects one conversational thread from the other
Yeah.
like a lot more than what being sober does. But it also does that even for switching rooms. So when you switch a room and you're doing something in there, it feels like you're like just living in a completely different bubble of reality. Like, and you're like, oh man, have I been in here for like 2 hours? Like just like
Right. Yeah.
messy,
Yeah.
like and you've only been in there for like 10 minutes, but like it feels like it was 2 hours ago you were in this in deep conversation or you were laughing or having jokes with somebody. And then you switch rooms and it takes like 10 minutes later, and you feel like it's been a lifetime that you've been in this other room doing this other thing. And then, and you re-enter and you're walking out into the like living room and you see your friends and it's like and it hits you that it's like this world is still there waiting for you. But it just feels so much more disconnected.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've had that. And it's luckily for me, like I said, most of those situations aren't accompanied with panic or paranoia or anything. It's just kind of a fun thing. And then you kind of laugh at it. Like you certainly don't want to be like 85 years old and having to do with that. And then because then it might just be dementia. I don't know. Um but yeah, it is very interesting. I will say that probably about 90% of the time of when I smoke weed, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy. It helps with my stress, my anxiety, and sleep, even though technically it doesn't really help with sleep. It has the same effect that alcohol does, where it actually gives you less REM sleep. But you kind of trick yourself into saying it does help you with your sleep or whatever, or it'll probably help you get to sleep faster, but it won't help you stay asleep longer, I guess is what it would be, which is
Yeah.
kind of like the alcohol effect is what alcohol does too. But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy it for the most part. There are times where a couple days ago, I wasn't getting good sleep, and I had smoked. And then I ended up smoking. Well, actually, it was yesterday, and I smoked weed like all day, and I wasn't hardly getting high at all, just because there is something about, and I think I do have it that we're going to talk more about it later. But there is something about um, how you sleep that determines what kind of high you're going to get. And I think this is for more than just marijuana. I've talked to people who drink and they said, yeah, like my buzzes are different if I got less sleep or more sleep or, do you ever find that?
I don't know if I can speak to that. I don't notice a big difference there.
Okay. Well, you're not on trial, but yeah, I get it.
My lawyers advised me
They don't
to,
want you. Yeah. I'm going to plead the fifth. I'm going to plead the
yeah.
fifth, Matt King Cole. All right. All right, well, let's talk before we get to some fake sponsors and a cool new little game that we're going to play with Brandon that he doesn't know anything about yet, except for what I just said. Let's talk about creativity in marijuana. Um, First of all, I can definitely say that I have some creative issues now in my life, but I really think those are attributed to my antidepressants. Marijuana is a pretty good creative drug for me. We can probably agree that most drugs done in the right way can definitely open up your mind to be creative. I mean, you could say that about heroin, you could say that cocaine, you could say that about acid. I mean, some maybe more than others. But I'm a songwriter just as you are, and I find that I write better. I write better when I'm high. Um, it just becomes easier to create when I'm high. So like my mind is clear. It's opening up different things that I wouldn't normally had sober. So what do you have to say about creativity in marijuana?
I find that it allows for, so here's what I find with creativity, that it affects positively idea generation, and then also positively affects conversational creativity. But
Yeah.
I don't find that it's useful very much at all for me when it comes to creativity. When it comes, how do I say this? When it comes to taking creativity and putting it into action, and that's the problem. Is like even I've
Well, it
even
sounds like
struggled with
most of your events were you were panicking. So would you? I mean,
yeah.
obviously early on, like it's like it'd be hard to create
Yeah.
anything at that point. You're not even thinking about it. But
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So like, yeah, playing guitar, for example, I can't really play guitar. Like I do play guitar. I'm a guitarist, but if I get high, I can't really play guitar. Like I almost can't play it at all.
yeah, and I don't play any instruments. All I ever played was the recorder, which I think everybody did. Um, so I guess I can't attest to that. But I could see that. I could see where like for me being sober, like I can't. I'm amazed by the people. I can't sing and play an instrument. I wouldn't be able to sing and play an instrument. I mean, I probably would if I really fucking sunk into it. But in my brain right now, I can't sing and play an instrument at the same time. To me, that's difficult. So, and I know you can do that. I know a lot of people out there that can. But I could see where if you're high, where all of a sudden, maybe that's making you like me when I'm sober, where it's like, oh, now it's harder to actually do this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it is what it is. It doesn't always make people more creative, but, so
I
don't.
think that I think it could be useful. I mean, I'd be interested in trying it with something that's more like painting, where the creativity
Painting your
can
house or like drawing like a painting. Painting your house
on a
probably
canvas.
wouldn't be that fun. Yeah,
Maybe
on
face
weed.
painting and finger
Gotcha.
painting. I think that painting as a form of just expressionistic artistry, like
Yeah,
painting colors on a canvas, I think
right.
that could be fun. But trying to paint something super specific like a face, a three-dimensional, something sort of realistic, or with some, you know, in some artistic style that you're trying to do, whether it's like, like a Michelangelo style face or something. I wouldn't
Yeah,
want to do that while I was really high.
yeah. Honestly, just what about entertainment? Like entertainment in itself, like video games, movies,
Well,
shows. Is
consuming
that is that
entertainment.
is that better? Is that better after smoking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. You can get into things more. And with the whole time thing that you were talking about, like where you kind of think it's been longer, but it really hasn't been longer.
It lasts forever. You get like
Right.
10 nights of entertainment out of like 4 hours.
Yeah, and you could do that with video games when you're high. Like where you'll be like because video games can already have that effect even if you aren't high, where you'll be like it's actually the other effect though, where you'll be like, "Oh, I've only been playing for an hour." And then you like look at your fucking watch and it's like 4 a.m. or something and you started at like 10 the night before and you're like, "Shit." But you could do it kind of with that way too with being on high, being high. I'll tell you what, when I'm on marijuana, I'm always on high alert. All right. All right. Well, it is time for.
Hey, where are those fake sponsors you've been talking about?
They're here. They're here. This guy. I'm going to need to get a hold of your lawyer. Get this guy out of my house. We
Hi,
are
Harry.
fake sponsored by Fettuccine Bikini, the only pasta-based beachwear in the world. If you like a noodle floss in your butt for a while, then we're the brand for you. Fettuccine Bikini. We are not gluten-free. We are also fake sponsored by the Burrito Speedo, the only beef and bean-based beachwear in the world. If you like the feeling that you dookied on yourself in front of your friends, then we're the brand for you. The Burrito Speedo. Become a member of the 5 Layers Players Club today. Brandon, are you a member of the 5 Layers Player Club?
No, but I am wearing my burrito briefs and they are snug. So
They're
very
great.
excited.
Yeah, you don't want to wear them for too long because if they start smelling, even if you don't smell, they start smelling. It's a little crazy. We are going to do a brand new game that you are hearing about for the very first time, and it's called Who Am I? And before I explain the directions, I made a little song, and the song kind of explains the directions and the instructions on how to play it. So let's see if the song is enough for you to understand how to play, all right? So here we go with Who Am I?
I give you some clues.
That almost got a little
This-
techno-y there. I feel like that
Yeah.
would be bad on acid.
I wanted to
okay.
see where that was going to go.
Yeah, well, it was the end. Sorry, yeah. I'll make a
Is this
longer
related
song.
to? Is this
You
like
know.
Jackie Chan's Who Am I?
It's like no, it's like so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to play this person. I'm not going to do any impressions, obviously, because I'm horrible at them, and then that might if I was good at it, it would just help you anyways. I'm going to give you 5 clues for each person. All right. So the first clue is obviously going to be the hardest clue, but as we get down to the 5th clue, it's going to be easier and easier. And I'm going to act like I'm this person, and I'm going to give you these clues, and you're just going to. I'm going to give you a chance after every clue to just guess, even though the early ons will be harder. But I'm just going to do that, and we'll see if you can do it. Now, if you get it in the first try, which I'm going to tell you right now is going to be almost impossible because it's like birth dates and shit. So you can throw out guesses, but you're not going to really know. If you can get it in the first guess, it's 5 points. Second guess, 4 points. Third guess, 3 points. 2 guess, 1 point. Or sorry, I fucked up the system, but you know how it is. It goes from reverse order. And you get we have 8 of them, so you have a chance to get 40 points. So Brandon, are you ready to play Who Am I?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for 40 on this one.
Okay.
You know what? I don't want to be too cocky. I'm gonna go for 30 plus.
I was gonna say like
it.
passing would probably be like 22, 23.
Oh, you think so?
Well, 24 is 60%. So if you can get 24,
right.
That'd be passing. A D-.
I'm gonna go for one. I'm gonna go for at least 1 point.
All right, for each. Okay. All right. Here is our first Who Am I? Number 1, I was born in Astoria, Queens, New York City. You want to throw any guesses out? Or do you want me to just move on to number 2?
Well, I'm gonna make a guess. Astoria, Queens, New York City.
Yeah.
Are you Al Capone?
I am not Al.
Okay.
I don't know if was he born in New York? He was from the Chicago outfit, but I don't know.
Number 2. Really?
Yeah. Number 2 is not going to help you at all.
He could have came from New York.
Well, actually, number 2 will help you at least with the age. I was born in the year 1983. So I was born in Astoria, Queens, New York City in 1983. Any guesses?
1983.
Yeah, they're about around our age.
Man, are you Matthew Lillard?
I am not. I think he's older than that.
Okay.
I think he's probably born in the 70s. All right, number 3. This one might get you. My sister was the famous Pepsi girl from a series of commercials in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Pepsi girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's ringing any bells.
Oh, man. Okay.
Nothing?
This is... No, I got nothing.
Okay. Number 4. This one's for 2 points. Despite what others may think, I famously stated that I don't use social media.
Despite what others may think, I've stated that I don't.
This is kind of a clue to you to like maybe a movie he might have been in. But despite what others may think, I famously stated that I don't use social media.
Use social media.
Can you get 2 points? You want to take any guesses?
Nope, move on.
All right.
Keep going.
Here's for 1 point. And this one should definitely give you it because the last ones are going to be like usually pretty easy. I played Lex Luthor in Dawn of Justice and Justice League.
Lex Luthor. Is this Jesse Eisenberg?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's the man that's going to play you in a movie.
You know what? I thought he was younger, actually. I thought he was younger than me.
No, he's only a few months younger than me. I think he was born in because I was born in 83 in January. He was born in like May or something like that. I don't remember the exact date, but yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right, so you got 1 point. So your goal is being met thus far.
All right.
All right. Number 2, or this is the second person. I was born in 1964.
Al Capone.
Al Capone.
Oh, shoot.
I think Al Capone was dead by 1964. I won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1996.
64. Best actor in 96.
He's 32 when he won it. Or 31 or 32.
No, he's older than that. Is this
This man, just so everybody knows, would be about, well, I don't know what month he was born in, but he'd be about 61 now. Maybe 62 already. Turning 62 this year.
All right, keep going.
All right. I changed my last name to avoid the appearance of nepotism.
Boy, this is not easy.
No, yeah, sorry.
I don't know. Is this Emilio Estevez?
No, but he wouldn't have been the one. Well, he wouldn't have been the one that changed the name because the other ones changed the name. But I don't even know if
That's
that'd be
true. Yeah,
All
but
right.
the other one's older than that, right? So
Yeah.
I think.
All right, here's the fourth clue. This will give you 2 points. Let's see how much you know about this movie. I starred in the movie Moonstruck, opposite of Cher.
I did not watch that. I can't even imagine who played in that.
All right.
Moonstruck,
Well, this
opposite
one,
Cher.
the next question is the next one is going to give you the point because I know it for sure. So number 5 is I played Stanley Goodspeed in the movie The Rock.
I actually don't know the name of the main guy. But
well, I mean, yeah, but you know the other main character that he's with, and he's much older. Well, I think he's passed on.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, is this Nick Cage?
It is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage.
Or he was born what, Brandon?
1964.
But his last name was when he was born
Nicholas Estevez.
Coppola. Nicholas Coppola, famous for being Francis Ford Coppola, the great director's nephew.
I never knew that.
Yeah. Sorry, I guess maybe if you would have known that, it would have been a little easier for you. All right, let's go to the third one. I was born in 1988 in Scottsdale, Arizona.
1988. Well, I'm not going to say Al Capone. I will say, what is it? This actor would be about 37. Somebody younger than Eisenberg. Younger than me. Pass. Keep going.
My legal first name is Emily.
Okay, so that makes me think it's not the name that's being used, that this person uses now currently. Yeah, because you gave it this is an early hint for you to give me the actual name. Emily. Okay, keep going.
I played Natalie in the film The House Bunny, opposite Anna Faris. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie, but I really like that's one of those rare gems by Anna Faris.
Nope. Keep going.
All right. Maybe this one will get you.
Right.
This one, hopefully it will. I got my big break in the film Superbad.
Okay. This is who also played in a movie with Eisenberg. This is.
Are you high now? Are you having?
I just don't know. I just can't think of the name.
You remember?
I got to think of it. Red hair.
Her legal name is Emily, but she just and her first name is kind of a play off that.
Emma.
Yep. What's another name for a rock?
A stone.
Yeah.
There it is.
2 points. Yeah, my final thing, and I'm assuming you would have got it. You would have noted, even if you didn't get the Superbad one, which that one was kind of. My final clue would have been I played Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. With Andrew Garfield.
Yep.
All right, let's try this one. I was born in 1966 in New York City.
Al Capone. No. All right, keep going.
I got famous from Saturday Night Live. So now you've got some people
like Myers.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to throw another guess out there, or do you want to just keep going?
Dana Carvey?
No.
Dan Aykroyd? I think he's older than that. No, keep going.
Well, Dan Aykroyd was one of the original ones, and that was in 1975. So if he was born in 1966, I think he would have been the youngest cast member ever on SNL. All right, number 3 is I've been married to my wife, Jackie, for over 20 years.
No,
you don't know his wife's name?
No.
I've done several movies with Drew Barrymore and Jennifer Aniston. Yes, you got it. 2 points. The last one of that would have been I was the star of the grown-up movies, which I'm assuming that would have been obviously a no-brainer. All right, this one, let's see how good you are with this one. I was born in 1937 in Wales, the land, not the mammal.
1937 in Wales.
And this guy is going to be damn near 90 years old, and he's still alive.
Clint Eastwood.
No.
He wasn't born in Wales.
No.
All right, keep going.
This one's not going to really help you. I don't even know why I put this. I have been a recovering alcoholic since 1975, which is a long fucking time, man. Over 50 years.
No, I don't know.
I narrated a Jim Carrey film.
A Jim Carrey film?
Yeah. I was debating on whether I should tell you the film. You know what? Because you're kind of, I feel like I made this too hard.
Because I kind of suck at this game. You're gonna give me a little.
The name of the film is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This person narrated that film.
Well, I don't even know if that helps.
Yeah, I was gonna say. That's why I was gonna say I don't know if it helps at all. This next one might help.
Okay.
Because the final one will get it. I starred opposite of Brad Pitt in Meet Joe Black.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah, because the final one would have been I famously played Hannibal Lecter in 3 different movies, and that should have been at least enough. So right now you have 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. You have 8 points with 3 left.
All right.
Let's see if you can get closer to that passing grade. All right. I was born in 1984 in New York City. Another New York City gal. I'll give you that. It's a girl.
Gail.
Yeah.
Gail. Somebody just a little bit older than Emma Stone.
And a little bit younger than Jesse Eisenberg.
That's right in between. Keep going.
I bet you he wouldn't mind if she was in between him and Emma Stone. I played opposite Bill Murray in a movie in 2003.
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, Brandon coming back. You know, and I was almost wondering if I should tell you the movie, but apparently you knew what I was talking about. What was that Lost in Translation? Right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
My number 3 would have been I was married to Ryan Reynolds. I don't even know how many people know that, but she was once married to Ryan Reynolds. And then number 4 would have been I'm currently married to an SNL cast member, Colin Jost. And then number 5, I played Black Widow in the Marvel movies, so that would have probably got it. All right. 2 more left. Brandon's on a streak. I was born in 1964 in Arlington County, Virginia.
No, keep going.
I was once married to West Coast Choppers founder Jesse James, which I was surprised to find out because this is a pretty famous actress.
Nope.
I could say actress now because the next one is I've starred opposite of many leading men, including George Clooney, Ryan Reynolds, and Channing Tatum.
Sandra Bullock?
Yes, Sandra Bullock. That's a 3-pointer, bro. You're up to 15. Yeah. You can help yourself here.
I could do this.
Number 4 would have been I played the mom in the movie The Blind Side, which I would assume most people would have got. And then number 5 is I played the lead role in Miss Congeniality. All right, here's the final one. Brandon's at 15 points. Out of a possible, 35 so far? That's all right. I was born in 1954, Mount Vernon, New York. This man is 71 or 2 years old now.
71 or 2 years old. Is this, how old is George Clooney now? Is this George Clooney?
This is not George Clooney, and I don't know how old he is. I think he might be a little younger. All right. My son is also a famous actor. He got big quite recently too.
Yeah, you know what? Don't give any more away because I have something that I'm thinking
you got
of.
something?
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember the last name because the last name is one of those. Is it a Skarsgård? Oh, okay. I was thinking of the father, Skarsgård.
Oh, okay. This one might get it for you if you've seen the movie. I played the gangster Frank Lucas in a movie.
No, I don't. That doesn't ring any bells.
American Gangster?
No.
Never seen it?
Nope.
I played opposite Tom Hanks in the movie Philadelphia.
I'd never watched that movie.
Brandon, you're missing out on a gem. That's actually, it's kind of a tearjerker, but it's a really good movie. All right. Well, this one should get it for you. You'll get your 1 point. I played the lead role in the Equalizer movies.
Denzel Washington.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, John David Washington is becoming quite a star, his son. All right. Well, 16 points total for the Who Am I show.
Okay.
Did you like that? I mean, that's something you can do for me in the future.
I think I could do it for you. I don't know. I mean, I just don't feel like I'm that good at it, especially when it's like the dates and the obscure connections.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to the dates, it makes me really what's the word? I'm really insecure about like naming an actor who's like 20 years out of date. When you're like born in 1964 and I'm like, how old?
Right.
I'm like, all right, is that Channing Tatum? And you're like, whoa, that guy was like born,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know how to think of these people in terms of age because Hollywood is such a weird place. But,
Yeah. All right. Well, that was.
I give you some clues. You have to guess who. This is Who Am I? Who am I?
Yeah, that does get a little techno-y there at the end. It seems like it's going to go on for like ever. It's just going to be that for like 10 minutes. All right, well, let's get back to the pot. All right. Let's talk about mental health and marijuana. And do you think marijuana, this is probably going to be on a case-by-case basis is how I think you would probably put this. But do you think mental health is good or bad for marijuana? Or, as I just said, is it like a case-by-case basis?
Do I think... Oh, did you say that? Did you mean to say that the way you said it?
I mean to say everything the way I say it, and I'll never mean it to say it any other way.
Okay. Do I think mental health is good or bad for marijuana?
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna take that question in the reverse.
Do you think marijuana is better than? Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, but I know what I was trying to say, but I just got to keep on.
Well,
the level.
I actually wasn't sure because I'm like, because the thing is that actually, let me start from the literal point of view, because there actually is an interesting conversation there where it's like, could you be in a state of mind or be dealing with mental problems and have it be be in a spot where you shouldn't try marijuana or you shouldn't be taking it because of where you are mentally?
Exactly, dude. That's what I was going for. Yeah.
And it is a question that should be begged. But I'm not begging for it right now. So overall, in the short term, I think no. And in the medium term, probably no. But it's like
What about the
plus and minus.
slightly medium or like the little
Yeah.
bit more medium?
And I'm talking about
Mild?
constant, chronic, daily use.
Right.
And chronic is
It's also
it's another term there.
Yeah.
So I think long-term use, it could be detrimental. But when I say mental health, I don't think of mental health in terms of like, I don't think it hurts your mental health in terms of short-term mental health, in terms of, I keep saying in terms of, I'm going to say it one more time.
Yeah.
In terms of the anxiety you feel right now, the depression you feel right now, or the level of like just overwhelming negative feelings that are extremely situational for this moment right now. I don't think marijuana is necessarily that bad, but I think in the long term, what it can do is if you use it as an escape over a long period of time, then it can cause you to maybe take less action in the direction of your life towards something that you should. Whereas in the short term, you might be overwhelmed with anxiety or depression, things like that. And so marijuana is a great coping mechanism. In the long term, it can be a crutch for not developing your life in a direction that might be beneficial for you in the long run.
Yeah.
And so the drawbacks of this might be like a blanket of depression that can sort of settle on. And this is sort of a situational depression that is in response to the condition of your life. Because I think some people, I mean, you see this a lot with homelessness, where it's like there's some people where confronting your life is so overwhelming that
That's what you do.
that you really want to escape from it. So I have miles of empathy for people in these situations, and I understand.
Wow.
Miles, yeah, nothing more.
That's
nothing
right.
less.
You did. You adopted that highway, and it just says miles of empathy. I like that. That was nice. Adopted
The
by.
sidekick to Sonic the Hedgehog, introduced in Sonic 2, which I've been playing recently. A little throwback to retro games. So that's what I think about the interplay of mental health and marijuana. It's great to do on a podcast, though, because it really opens your mind up. Good visuals, cheeks full of smoke, blowing it out.
Chipmunk cheeks, they call it.
What do you think?
Some people have the frog face too when they hold it in. In the terms of you, in terms of endearment, a movie, in terms of marijuana and mental health, I will say this. It's kind of like a catch-22 because I totally agree with you. I think over time, like I think that I do it every night. Like it's when I do it at night, because I'm sober up until a certain time. I don't just get up and start smoking weed or anything. I'm not that bad, thank God. But I think what happens is I'm so depressed during the day a lot to where it makes me happier. It gives me that happiness. It gets rid of thoughts that I don't want, about, thoughts are like that are self indulgent about like just negative thoughts about myself. So in that aspect, it's really helping. But I think that over the past 30 years, doing it for that long has also been some definitely negative effects. It's affected, other things. So it is one of those things. It's like a balancing thing that you do have to kind of balance. And so I agree with you on that. And I think that's all in terms of I'm going to say about in terms of that.
One more time.
In terms of.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get to the dealing with paranoia or getting too high kind of thing, which is kind of like the same thing. First off, I do want to say that when I was younger, I did have a lot more paranoia, and I do feel like that some of the paranoia was the getting caught. So now that it's legal, like that paranoia is gone, but there are other things of paranoia too. And the thing is I feel like you're much more gullible when you're at that spot and you're high. Like if you're out in the woods or something and you're just normal and you're sober and stuff, and somebody says, "Hey, what was that sound?" You're like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?" Like that kind of thing. But if you're a little high and you got that already a little bit paranoid vibe and somebody says, "Hey, what was that sound? And you don't hear anything. You just trust them and you're like, oh my God, what are you talking? And then it kind of flares up. So I definitely did have that before. I don't really deal with it too much anymore. What do you think? Like, I mean, you had some thoughts you already said some things, but I don't know if you had more thoughts to say about it or.
Well, I've always dealt with internal paranoia.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten the classic like external you just touched on this a little bit, like a supernatural sort of paranoia that you can get.
Right.
But there's also, like, in broad terms, there's what I would call maybe like a social paranoia. And this also encompasses the idea that like cops are showing up at the house or something
Right.
like that, like somebody catching you. I've heard a lot of this, like you're walking into a grocery store and you're high and you're thinking that everybody's looking at you
Yeah.
or everybody knows you're high.
Yeah.
I have never felt, I don't feel these ways, which is very surprising to me, but I don't feel this any of the social paranoia if I'm out in public and I'm high. I just don't care that much about that. But
Is that
but
now
my
or is
paranoia,
that always?
it's always
Always?
been that
Okay.
way. Yeah, it's always been that way.
Besides
My
the
paranoia always,
panicking, which I guess you don't really have time to be paranoid when you're panicking.
yeah,
Your
the
mind's on other
panicking.
things.
Yeah, for me, it's always been internally focused. It's always been like I can't control my thoughts as well as I'd like. And also, and then the big one, even beyond that, is usually something related to my health. So I can imagine like my heart's not beating right, or I'm not breathing right. I'm manually breathing. I'm like, there's a bubble in my chest and I'm not sure where that's going to go. It feels like it's growing and it's going to pop and my chest cavity is going to turn inside out, So it's like
Yeah.
usually one of these things.
That's from swallowing too much bubble gum.
Oh, bazooka?
Bubbles up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of that shit.
That's why they call it that. So that's what I get with the paranoia. But I always thought it was interesting because the classic paranoia from weed, I always hear it kind of imagined in a different way that I don't really feel.
The funny part to me is like when it just takes one person in the group. Like everybody's fine, but it's like that one person that's like, oh, did you guys see that? And then everybody else is like, oh my God, what do you mean? Like, but obviously in a sober situation, your mind would be like, what is this guy talking about? Like nothing happened. So it is kind of funny in that way. Yeah. Getting too high, like obviously we have talked about that before where you've had a couple of edible situations. Well, the pancake situation, and then you you had a couple edible situations where you just slept it off. That's kind of what you have to do. That's the great thing about marijuana though, is that you can't like I'm starting like nowadays there are things that are high up in THC, but if you're just smoking it or what you're taking and you get a little too high, the great thing is you can just sleep and then you wake up and you're usually fine. Maybe you have a little bit of lingering effect, but it's not anything like it was. I like that about marijuana. You can't OD for marijuana. You're just going to fall asleep. You can't smoke enough to where it's going to actually kill you because your body's just going to be like, no, we're going to sleep first, for the most part. I mean, it might happen at some point. I don't know. Like I said, with some of these 90% THC and shit, it's like, fuck that. When people start seeing shit from weed, I'm like, okay, why don't you just go to a different drug? Like, it just seems like that's not what it's for. But, all right. Well, let's talk a little bit about side effects. I talked a little bit about weed and sleep and how it causes less REM sleep. One of the things that I did learn was that if you do quit weed, you have this, you can suffer from REM rebound, which is like where you have like these really vivid, intense dreams, almost nightmarish for a couple of weeks because your body's trying to bounce back into that REM thing. And I did take a weed break in 2011 for about a month, but I don't really remember experiencing that. And I do know that when I go to sleep and I'm pretty high, I don't remember any of my dreams. I don't know how much dreaming I'm actually doing, so I don't know how much REM sleep I'm getting. But that's just kind of interesting. Other than that, I've gotten headaches from weed, especially swag. We talked about like if you got some bad weed, like it was like, sleepiness, appetite. Those are like my main side effects. Would you add any other side effects to that?
Sleepiness, headaches. Yeah, I don't know you basically covered them. I haven't noticed a large amount of crazy side effects with weed.
Yeah.
But
horse trampling. That happens sometimes when you're on weed.
Horse trampling? Now, is that you trampling on a horse?
No, that's just nobody really knows what it is. thoughts. Like you just think that you're gonna get like it's like another paranoia thing where you just think that any moment you're gonna get trampled by horses, even though you're like
That's
you're in
one
a
of
house
those,
and away from
yeah,
horses.
fugazi, ethereal
Yeah.
situations.
Did you ever watch American Dad?
I've seen it.
And there was a part where, I don't know, Roger the alien's crazy, right? If you've seen in a couple of episodes, you realize that Roger does a bunch of illegal stuff. He's a crazy alien that can withstand fire and, I don't know, all kinds of other weird shit. But there was an episode where he had to kill all these people. I don't know, like maybe because they did a crime with him and he had to get rid of them all. But he would kill them with his car, but they would be like anywhere. Like one was in a bathroom and the car showed up in front of the stall. One was on a plane and the car showed up on the plane. So I imagine that kind of scenario where no matter where you are, you think a horse is going to come and trample you and it's actually going to happen. And that's a big side effect.
Scary.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the legalization of marijuana. And I'm not talking about just statewide. I'm talking about if the federal government legalized it. First of all, for it or against it? Go.
For it.
Okay. I'm also for it, but I'm scared. First of all, America's debt is just climbing, right? We don't want to make this a political episode, but if you legalize this, you tax it, and you pay down the debt, I don't see why that's hard. I don't see why that's hard at all. Now, the problem with me is marijuana, I feel like if it ever becomes 100% legalized, I don't even know. I know our current president was trying to get it off the Scheduled 1 narcotics because that's in with like heroin and things that it shouldn't be in with, right? I don't know if he successfully had done that or not. I know he had an executive order, but I don't know how far that goes. The problem for me is I feel like that at some point it's going to become like big tobacco, where there's going to be lobbyists and it's just going to be this big conglomerate thing that grows so big, like so many other capitalistic things that happen in this country, where they can't be taken down. Even to the point when they are accidentally, the government's going to give them money and boost them back up. That's where I would be a little bit scared about it, is that in just the commercialization of everything. And it would be kind of weird, right? Like, I mean, it would be cool, like, if you could just go into a gas station and be like, oh, yeah, give me a pack of, what was some of the strains last week? Give me a pack of ex-wives, Give me a pack of ex-wife joints. And you buy them at the gas station or whatever, which, you can't really do that now. You literally have to go to a dispensary that has to get a license or regulatory thing. You would still have to go through some government hoops, if it was legalized, but it would just be like cigarettes or alcohol where, as long as you had that license or whatever, you could sell those things. But I do worry, like I said, about it getting too big, like tobacco. And then it's all powerful. And then you have lobbyists, and then you have politicians who are actually getting like weed money, right? Because there's politicians that are they've got their hands in the NRA, and they've got their hands in big tobacco, and they've got their hands here and there, and it wouldn't be any different. So that is the only issue that I have. I do like it right now where it's just legal in our state, and I think maybe, I don't know how many states have it legalized, but I think it's at least 30 now. I could be wrong on that number, but I do like it how it is now. I enjoy that. But do you so you're good with legalizing it. You like the fact of like legalizing it, taxing it, and paying down the debt. I know that in our community, like when they get back the tax revenue, it's quite a bit. And if you've got a dispensary in that area, you get a bunch of money. And I don't know if whenever you give it to that local government, I don't know if they have to show you. This is another thing where we could do a whole thing on taxes, but I don't know if they have to show you what they're using it for. But usually they'll say, I have no problem with it going to schools. Like, if you want to help schools, that's fine. Do that, like they were doing with the cigarette thing, with the cigarette tax. Then you felt good. Like, I remember when they did that in Michigan, and people would be like, why are you smoking? I'd be like, I'm helping the kids.
That's how you sounded?
Yeah, I was like, with my eyes, I'm helping the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people would be like, I'm never going down this alley again. This is my alley. Stay out of here. Yeah.
Smoking for 40 years.
You remember that alley? You visited a few times.
Yeah, it's very sticky.
It was a sticky alley. I apologize for that. A lot of hobos and blowhos. That worked out. Hobos and blowhos. Yeah, so let's talk about, before we end this fabulous 2-episode thrill ride of marijuana, let's talk about weed prices. Now, back in the 90s, I don't know how, you obviously told me that you didn't buy it, like you were just kind of the person that where you'd be with friends and they'd have it and they'd be like, hey. Back in the 90s, there was like this 25-50 rules, what we'd call it. And obviously back in the 90s, if you said, hey, do you know somebody who's got weed? And if they came back and said 25-50, do you know what that meant?
25.50. $25 for a half of a something.
Close. 25 for an eighth, 50 for a quarter is what it cost.
Okay.
There was a time where the people would say it's really good weed. My friend who would kind of fall for this because he's kind of gullible, and he'd be like, this dude's got whatever the hell this is, and it's $75 for an eighth. Could you imagine spending $75 for 3.5 grams of weed nowadays? It's like, it's insane. We did have to pay, that. Ounces ran from $150 to $300, and a dime bag, which is basically about a gram, was about $10 a gram. Nowadays, I believe I just told you this, I bought 21 joints on one of the dispensaries, and I paid $41. So they were less than $2 a piece, and they're a gram each, and I practically got almost an ounce of joints. I probably could have got an ounce of joints for $50, all rolled up for me, everything. Ounces now, there are some high quality ounces that some of these dispensaries will try throwing like $200 for, but I never get those. I probably get mids, what people would say. But you can also get them, sometimes they're this shake, and if people don't know what shake is, it just means they're all kind of, it's usually like the bottom of like, sometimes they'll have shake bags for $20 an ounce. $20 fucking for 28 grams. And it's a lot of times it's just like the ones, it's like the scraplings that were when they trim the weed or something. And it's like all that stuff, but it's still, good stuff. But yeah, it's amazing how much the difference is. What are vapes? Like, what are you getting for a vape, and how much are you buying? I guess, cause I don't really know like how fast it goes either though. And with you is not a good example because you don't really hit it much, but
yeah, I'm not a good example, but I do have somebody that lives in my house that consumes quite a bit, or smokes quite a bit. So the carts typically come in, I think, is 0.5 grams and 1 gram carts.
Okay.
And they range in price, but you can get them for as little as sometimes like $5 for one of these carts. Or as much as I don't know, $30 or $40 per cart if you're buying like premium carts that have the really good stuff,
like
and that are maybe
like a J.C. Penney cart, or
yeah,
a Hudson's, or a Marshall Fields.
Yeah, I'm thinking more Macy's.
Yeah, that's premium.
Yeah,
that is premium
because they carried the Calvin Klein and Hilfiger brands, which were popular. So so these cards, I do remember when they first came out, when weed was legalized in Michigan, we started seeing the first dispensaries crop up in the area, that I would hear
nice
conversations
use of the word
people,
crop.
Yeah. So I would hear them crop up, and I would hear them, the prices of these carts would be like $80 maybe for one of these carts.
Damn, for a gram?
And yeah, for a gram.
Okay.
Maybe even a 0.5 gram.
And you're getting a lot more out of that
days.
gram than I'm getting out of a gram of flour.
Yes, because it's like 80% THC.
Yeah.
And so these carts can go a lot further, and they don't go bad. They don't go stale the way weed does if you don't smoke it within a month or whatever, depending on how you're storing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, these cart prices are super cheap, and so I'm able to get a cart, and I'm able to make it last for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and it's like less than $10. So for
you're
$10,
you're spending like $10 a year for your weed habit.
Yeah. Basically, I'm spending probably about $10 a year.
So I guess for people who don't understand, a cart is like a little thing that you insert into your, or is the cart the whole thing?
No, you have they call it like sometimes just the battery or the pen or whatever style it is.
Right.
But the base is usually like a rechargeable base.
And how much is that?
And it plugs in USB.
Initially,
cheap ones are about $20. You can get fancier ones that probably go up to $100 and beyond, I'm sure, if you really want to spend money on it. I just got a super cheap one, and I mean I could show it to you. I don't know if I should or not, but if it matters. But
I smoked some weed on here earlier. If YouTube's gonna,
that's true,
if they were gonna demonetize us, or not. Sorry,
so I have a really,
we don't make money, but-
basic one. This is what a basic one looks like. Okay,
Yeah.
this is
looks like a pen.
Yeah, this is the. This is like you can see it's got a little scratched up.
Yeah,
it's got a button
It's
there.
like a little red dildo.
The brand that makes that is Ooze.
Yeah. I have an Ooze bubbler. I love those.
Yeah, and it's a little rechargeable. Little rechargeable thing.
Yeah.
So USB-C
Yeah.
because we keep it modern, and then you'll get these carts which will be, they usually come and they're just like that, and then
Right.
they screw
Like
in
the size of a shotgun shell.
There's two main screw sizes, but there's one that's more popular than the rest, which is I forgot what the name of it is, but that's what this one is. So if you pick out any like basic cart and a pen, usually they'll be compatible. Yeah, and then all I have to do is just click that. Let's see, I have to click it 5 times to turn it on, and then you can see you can hold it. I can see how much charge is left.
Oh, nice.
It's 57. Where's it at? 57.
Heinz
out of
57.
100.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah. So
That's good.
really, really simple. Lasts a long
Cheap,
time.
Yeah, and yeah.
The advantage of getting a good battery base like pen thing, the advantage of getting a good one is that it's not going to break down as fast on you. Sometimes the cheaper ones, you find you get into technical difficulties that can arise after a while. And the same thing with the carts. You want to shop, like you'll try out some carts from some cheap brands, and sometimes they'll have issues where the liquid in it can ooze out a little bit or it can clog it. Clogging is a really popular thing. What it does is when you try to take a rip from one, it'll be like there's like a membrane or a clog in there, and you gotta like rip past that to dislodge like the wax that is dried in there. But higher quality carts I found don't do that as much. So that's one of the advantages of spending a little bit more money.
All right. Well, that was a good selling point on on vaping.
Get them today. Use
Yeah.
the code.
I sell them in
Socially
the
awkward.
alley.
There's that. Yep. There's that face.
Wow, those
Sticky
eyes are
alley.
crazy, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sticky Alley? I knew her. I didn't know you knew her too. Crazy.
Junior high.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Talking about marijuana for the last 2 episodes, as much as maybe other people won't have it, I might have had more fun than you had because I've been doing more of it, but you've also had different experiences that I didn't have. So it was kind of fun to just talk about those. Do you have any closing arguments for the court that you want to talk about with marijuana?
Yeah, it's time. I mean, legalize it, federally legalize it in all the states. It's time, tax it, pay down our federal deficit. Because I didn't get a rebuttal on that necessarily, but I was nodding along with you because I agree. It's like, it would be such a great income stream. I think that it's like anything else, you do it responsibly. And I also tend to side in a more, what's the word, libertarian direction on some of that stuff where it's like.
You believe in a lot of autonomy. You believe in that?
That's right. Autonomy. Yeah. Autonomy.
And you do a good
and that's
egg
my last
nod.
word.
This is your egg nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Like around Christmas time, it's really great.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. All right. Well, we want to apologize to Ben Affleck. We ran a little long today. Didn't have a chance to get that interview in. Maybe we'll contact his people and we'll get it done the next time. It's been a great show. And until next time, from us to you, have a wonderful week and thanks for watching.
Bye.